welcome to the 2015 Elections Forum. My name is Josh Palmer, and I will be your Elections Director for the 2015 Student Body General Election here for SGA. Today, the purpose of this evening is really just to go over what the process is for the election for this year, how you can get involved in it, and then we're going to have each of our representatives up here go through their positions and give you a little bit more of the bylaw side of things, as well as a little insight of what it's like to hold their positions. I want to introduce to you, just so you have the names and faces together, my wonderful elections committee, and have them go through and introduce themselves.
I am Garrett Ritterhouse. I'm a freshman studying communication.
My name is Megan Isabel. I'm a junior, and I'm studying outdoor recreations.
I'm Cheyenne. I'm a freshman studying apparel management.
I'm Kaylee. I'm a junior, and I'm studying integrated
Public relations.
So I can see the public relations side of things doing great. No, but I'm just kidding. Each of these individuals has their own great set of skills. They're gonna be a lot working behind the scenes. All of the election stuff alongside me. They're going to be working on promoting the election, as well as making sure that all the rules are being followed, and working alongside making sure everything gets filed and is going great for you. So if you have any questions about the election, we're going to be the people that you're going to go to for that. And I just want to recognize them in advance for the hard work that they're about to put in over the next couple months. So thank you all. Tonight, we will have all these packets available to explaining the ins and outs of the positions that are here. Again, we are having a selection for the president and vice president on one single ticket to get running together. We have treasurer, and we also have 24 seats available for the senator positions. In this packet, it does explain all of the rules according to the bylaws for what it's like to be an unofficial candidate. Unofficial candidate means that you are looking to run for the position, but it is not yet past the filing deadline. So until March 2nd, if you are looking to run, you are considered an unofficial candidate. On March 2nd, that is when we will be announcing who the candidates are and who will be running for office here. So that February 27th deadline is all indicated here in our schedule. But in this schedule, it's going to have a lot of important dates about when the debate is, what details of filing deadline, as well as the press conference, voting, the campaign itself. That's all outlined in the schedule here. All of these documents that I'm referring to are available online through OrgSync, Student Government Association's OrgSync page. It's all on its own file for 2015 general election, so you can access any of that whenever you need to. But we will have those packets up here. Please grab one if you are interested. Also in this packet, in addition to the rules and everything, there's multiple places for you to make sure that you sign your name. Make sure those signatures for yourself are on all the pages that are necessary. It's pretty clear in here which ones you need them, but I do want to point out not to forget the last two in the back, just because I know I would oversee that. So on the last two pages, there is that final signature in there. It has all my contact information and everything that you need to do to file. That deadline is going to be very firm on February the 27th at noon. February 27th at noon, these packets with all the information in here will need to be turned in to my mailbox, election director, in the Student Involvement Center in the SGA office. Me or one of my lovely committee members will be there all morning and afternoon from 8 to noon if you need to stop by to drop that off. We are the only ones you can turn this into, so please don't hand it into those up here. Don't hand it to other people in SGA. Don't just drop it off somewhere. Make sure that it gets into my mailbox or into my hands. By that deadline, we will go through and verify everything. The president and vice president will be required to get 500 signatures total, as well as the treasurer 250. And against senators, there is no signature requirement. All those forms are here in that packet if you need any other information. Right off the bat, are there any questions before we move into the forum part of this evening? Awesome. So the way this is going to go is we're just going to start off with the Senate, and we're going to go person by person here. They're going to explain the bylaw side of things, as well as what it's like to be in their positions. They'll have some time for some specific questions if you'd like to ask them, but please, if you have questions about what it's like to serve in those positions, feel free to ask away, and then I'll be here afterwards for any additional questions regarding the election itself. So we're going to start off with Becca. She's going to talk about what it's like to be a senator.
humanities and social behavioral sciences. Behind me up here is the bylaws. If anyone's unfamiliar or has questions about those, you can ask me. But basically, you hold 3 office hours a week as a senator. That's time you spend talking to people in your constituency, working on projects. So senators work on a project. You think of something that could make Kansas a better place, something that you are really passionate about. You can work on that, and the Senate leader will help you kind of formulate projects. You make deadlines, you make progress. You'll be assigned a demographic once you become a senator, so you'll be running as a block. I think that's really just about it. There's a list of the colleges up here. Does anyone have any questions about Senate at all? In the middle right here?
Do you have to like state your consent?
Do you have? Go ahead.
Do you have to be in the House to run for Senate, or can you run?
You can be anyone. Anyone can run for a Senate position.
But to be clear, you cannot be in the House and be in the Senate at the same time. So you cannot represent your organization while you're senator.
There's some projects that you've worked on as a senator.
I've mostly worked on a lot of projects for my committee because I'm also committee chair, but one of the projects that I've worked on was the Wear a Culture, Not a Costume campaign. So that was something as simple as I wanted to go out and spread awareness about different cultures. So I worked with people in my committee, I printed out flyers, I had people distribute little quarter sheets of paper. I know another example of a Senate project was one that another senator did where they got pencil sharpeners in the building because there weren't any pencil sharpeners. So how are people supposed to take their notes if they don't have pencils? Just something simple like that. They can be small projects or they can be large. One of my projects I'm currently working on is the plan for achieving diversity. Ours is really out of date, so I'm working with Dr. Dunn on kind of updating that. These are just like a couple examples.
What project are you most proud of?
Honestly, the project I'm most proud of is the one I'm working on right now, the plan for achieving diversity. It's been something that's bothered me ever since I was first put in this position, that it's literally outdated by 5 years. It's outrageous how old this plan is. Any other questions?
What's the difference between being a House member and a senator?
The difference between being a House member and a senator. A House member represents an organization. A senator represents an entire college of people. House members meet in the House. Senators will meet in the House. Senators hold office hours. House members don't. Those are like the main definition differences.
How much of a time commitment is being a senator? And you mentioned office hours. How many office hours are senators required to uphold?
Senators are required to hold 3 office hours, and again, that's like meeting with your constituency, working on your projects. It's a pretty decent chunk of my time. I would say I might spend a little bit more than 3 hours a week working on my projects, but that's also, again, I'm a committee chair. But regular senators, they spend a little bit more than the 3 hours, but also you want to be able to make sure that you're able to make some meetings because your presence is really important to the entire Senate as well.
How hard is it balancing being a senator and other things you have going on campus, like being an RSO, being an RA, or things like that?
It's honestly not very hard for me, but I feel like that's due to time management. Like I'm involved in, like distantly in 7 different RSOs on campus, as well as being a senator, as well as now being a student assistant with the Office of Institutional Diversity. So like, I'm time balanced, and I feel like time management skills is something that's very important to being a senator as well. Does anyone else have any questions?
question?
If there's no more questions, I do want to reiterate that being a senator is really your entry point to get more involved in SGA. If this is something that you see yourself doing in the future, but you're not ready to take that committee chair role, or you're not ready to run for treasurer or president or vice president, this is really where you get your feet wet and you get to do projects on your own and represent the student body. So if you're not sure that you want to do all of that, but you do want to be involved and stay involved and maybe go a little bit beyond the House member realm, then the center is definitely for you. It's that first step to really get involved in the organization. So definitely think about it.
One last thing too, the requirement to be a senator is a 2.0 GPA, so 2.0 is the grade requirement for that. And those packets are going to be found in this largest stack right here. So now we can move on to Taylor for the roles of treasurer.
All right, so while they're looking this up, obviously treasurer has student money. It's pretty fun. I'll run through this and then I'll kind of go through like some of the informal stuff that's required as treasurer. So basically some of the major things you see me do on a weekly basis is present the budget to General Assembly if the budget has been spent or if there's been an allocation for monetary value spent over $75 that's required to be brought and presented to the body. In addition to the President, Vice President, Treasurer are allowed to allocate up to $250 on our own. Basically, take place of the Vice President in case she or he is unavailable. Budget updates, maintain public record of the budget. That's kind of how I decided to do org sync this year. So with different treasurers, that's different policies. So I decided to do org sync. In the past, I've always just been the books or some kind of form online. It's been a little bit different each year. So basically, we're not required to stay on any committees. However, we are supposed to be. I do believe we have to hold a chair of the campus programming fund, which we'll talk about that in a little bit in another report that I have. Serves as ex officio member of the SBAC committee, so the Student Budget Allocation Committee. Take place usually on Mondays at 5. Technically, I don't vote, but I have to say. Other than that, you can read this for yourself. It's in the packets. I guess are there any questions? I'd like to kind of give that more dialogue. Yes.
Again, how much time?
From how you decide to maintain public record, because while I have those office hours, six office hours a week, I also meet with Sean Holgren, who is SGA's advisor, so that kind of goes with that. But some weeks it's 6, and some weeks it might be 7 or 8. For example, in the beginning of the semester, there was a report that we had to do for campus programming fund, which should take up a little more of my time. Any questions?
Other questions for Taylor?
Yeah.
Where did you?
Good question. I have so many I don't know. Thank you. Any questions? All right, if there's no more questions, feel free to stop me outside of this. But yeah, thank you.
So again, the treasury requirement for signatures is 250 for candidates, 250, and then the GPA requirement for that is 2.5. Now we can move on to Vice President Farad.
All right. Hi, everyone. So, yes, I won't read it word for word. That'll take a little while. But the general responsibilities, right off the top of my head, major things. Basically, I oversee like the weekly runnings or the internal runnings of Student Building Association. So I'm responsible for checking in and whether that's at having meetings or making sure that all the committee chairs, all the committees that class members are involved in, just kind of making sure that we're running smooth and holding everyone accountable to those projects. And also assisting with those projects and being involved as well. Also work with Chuck very, very, very closely. I have to have 12 office hours a week in the SGA office. And that can also entail like a lot of meetings. I have to be available for the whole student body, just like Chuck does, for folks to come in and ask questions. How we get involved and what difference it can make for SGA. That's the more internal operations of SGA. But Chuck and I, and Taylor as well, do more like executive projects. All of you have heard of like the Student Tax Credit Exchange website, things like that, the tax assistance program, projects like that. So that's kind of my quick overview. It's a lot of work, a lot of time in the office, a lot of time, spending with committee chairs and committees. That's my quick overview.
Vice President, questions for Mariah?
You also, do one more thing. And then like it says up here, I was going to say just, I also am the chairperson of the Constitution Bylaws, Bylaws Committee, and that was just the other thing. Sorry, Kristen.
This is on your website, I was just going to ask, what is some of your favorite external projects that you accomplished this past semester?
Yeah, definitely. The Student Tax Credit Exchange website, personally, it really bums me out to like go to the bookstore and see how expensive those are. So for all of us to have a website that's accessible to any student who has access to internet, to be able to log their books on that website, as long as they have like the cmish.edu website, email. That like feels really, really good. Also, you'll be hearing more coming up. We haven't heard a ton about it, but I'll be explaining very shortly in the next week or so about we have now a students
because in the role we do a lot. I won't go through them line by line, but I will speak about some of the ones that I feel are a lot of time overlooked. Because generally you all only see me up here, and I say a little bit, and then I'm in the back. Most of the work with presidents is behind the scenes, meeting with people, meeting with administrators. Most of my time spent in which I'm doing things isn't actually like talking to students during that. It's meetings, because you are the representative of the student body. So in a lot of committees, I do represent the student body. So for example, if you look at subsection I, it says serve as appointment or delegates up to the University Community Advocacy or Advisory Committee, UCAP. It's literally just a ceremonious position where I'm there because they need someone to represent the students. And there's a lot of that. So when I say this position takes up a lot of time, it does. Beyond that, you see that I have to serve 15 office hours. This is literally a job. You cannot hold down, you can, I'll say, but it will be very difficult to hold down a full-time job and do this as well because of the amount of time that it does require. So although my office hours says 15, I can put it anywhere between 30 and 35 hours in SGA, just from the time I'm in the office, the time that I'm meeting with students, the times that people are emailing me, the meetings that are on the side, working on projects, and actually trying to live my own life. It is a very demanding job. So with that, you see remove general board members. Technically, as the president, you're the only person who can say, I'll say Josh because this is our lecturer, we never do that. But let's say Josh is someone who's not representing our organization well, and he's actually did something bad at CMU. As a whole, I could say, let's all remove Josh from SGA because he's no longer supposed to be here. E-board, e-council meetings. So me, Taylor, and Mariah make up executive board, and we are basically the guiding people of SGA. And I kind of guide the executive board. And executive council is the people who we strictly choose and hire. They are not part of the legislative branch. They are just people we choose to hire. So that is our press secretary, our election director, our legal clinic director, SBAC chairperson. And those are the people who we guide as well. And then beyond that, we also have our legislative branch team. So those are all our committee chairs. Who are our committee chairs at? Woo! Committee chair. So those are our 7 committee chairs. So I'm responsible for guiding them all as well. Mariah does all of the internal affairs, but I do the internal and external. So whatever Mariah does, I've got my hands in there. Whatever Taylor's doing, I've got my hands in there, just to make sure everything's together, but they're the ones who really hold things together. Constitution and bylaws, that fun stuff, university administration, so like that's where the meetings come in place. I'm meeting constantly. Meetings, delegates, blah, 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 retreats, vetoes, everybody knows what a veto is. Cool. So with those bylaws, those are really a shallow representation of everything the position entails. I would assume that if anyone wants to run for president, you've been in SGA for a while, or at least you're very familiar with the position, because it's going to be very hard to run the entire bicameral legislature if you've never been in it. So, but if you are interested, I do not want to discourage you. I want you to know that it is something that has been absolutely life-changing for me in the aspect of being able to work with so many great people, work with all of you, and being able to make so much tangible change for the student body. So with that being said, if you are interested, if you do have more specific questions, feel free to come to me and ask me those questions. But again, this is not a position to be taken lightly because you do represent every single person who calls himself a Chippewa, and that's something you need to do wholeheartedly. Any questions about being president, what it entails, time required, anything like that? Yes? What's your name?
What's your major?
Oh, I double major in communication and political science with a minor in leadership. Any questions? It's fun. Oh, yes.
What is some of your future endeavors after?
You know, I have no idea what I'll do after.
You asked my question, and I gave it to you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. That was the wrong one.
All right, so again, for president, that is 500 signatures for the combined ticket of president and vice president, and the GPA requirement for those positions is 3.0. So right off the bat, does anybody have any other questions for me about running for any of these positions, any of the logistics, any of the dates? Voting itself will take place March 30th through April 3rd. So we'll be looking for your help when that comes along to help us promote the polls in general. We want the student body to vote, especially this year, so please assist with that. We'll have more information about that as it comes. But other than that, if there are no other questions, please see me afterwards. If you'd like to pick up a packet here, if you have any other questions. Also, I'll be back, of course, March 2nd to announce the official candidates for this year's 2015 election. So, thank you for having me.
That was great.
He's also the president of program board, if you didn't know.
All right, thanks everyone. Let's any questions. All right, moving right on to the treasurer update.
Alrighty, I'm back. So on the budget this week. However, I do have some really exciting news for you all. How many returns in SGA do we have this year? So if you were in SGA last year, raise your hand.
Nice.
So out of those hands, does somebody want to talk about CPF? Those 3 letters that everyone cringes about. Right? Okay, so last year's CPF, Campus Programming Fund, is something that all of you returners know very much about. And so basically last year the administration had wanted to increase CPF. So CPF is a pool of money that is divvied up between various organizations on campus, such as the Volunteer Center, SGA, Program Board, Student Budget Allocation Committee, SAI Office, Mass Office, and Leadership Institute and Recreation. I can't remember. You're right. So there's all those organizations that apply for these things, their budget basically, their annual budget, out of this fund. And so last year they wanted to increase it by, I believe, like $1.8 million. And it just did not work out. So actually, beginning of the semester, Chuck and I sat down in Mariah, and we kind of discussed how we're going to tackle this. And we actually were successful in providing an allocation to the Budget Priorities Committee, who will then give these numbers over to the President. So I'm very happy to say that they are going to recommend to President Ross that SBAC get an increase in funding of $120,000 to create an overall budget of $200,000, in addition to giving Program Board $30,000. So putting their total base funding at, I want to say, is it $330,000? $340. So now those numbers can definitely change, but I think that's a very big success for the administration. I was going to say that. And just to recognize, just because these are going to the President doesn't necessarily mean the President's going to accept them in their entirety, but it's a pretty good some budget of $80,000. A lot of those projects, and maybe Shelby can attest to this, aren't being fully funded because of the worries that not every single project, they're not being fully funded because they want to make sure that more organizations have a chance to run conferences. And so I'm just very happy to share that with you all. If you have any questions on that, find me afterwards, I'll turn it over to Chuck.
So really, the best part about that news is that this is not something we promised the student body. This is not something that we campaigned on. This is not something we said, yo, we're going to get you these things. Because we really wanted to work with those tangible changes that Brian and I campaigned on, that we're going to do this for you, we're going to do this for you. But after we get our platform done, which we're really excited about, we thought, what else do students want? What else has students told us that they have a passion for? And the things that we constantly heard were things that involved CPM. And so we thought, you know what, maybe we should backtrack. Maybe we should go back to our opponents who were great, their platform, and do some of the things that they tried to do. And so this is one of the things that we've been working on from our opponents' platform. And the fact that we've actually been able to accomplish this is something that, for those of you who weren't here last semester, you don't know the huge hoopla that was made about it, the videos that were made, the presentations to the board of trustees, the CM Life articles, you don't know all that. But these are all things we have to fight through. And the fact that we were able to accomplish this is something that's very big for us. So we're extremely proud of it. You all should be extremely proud of it because it was your name that we were using when we were talking to President Ross. It was your name that we were using when we were talking to Budget Priorities Committee. We were talking to Stan Shields. We were talking to these different entities. So if we didn't have your way behind us, we wouldn't be able to do any of these things. So on behalf of the executive board, on behalf of our executive council, I thank you all for your time and dedication, the time that you spent in these seats, because we wouldn't be able to do it without you. So thank you.